Hey, Whoopi, how are you?
So, as we talked to you this morning, there are more than 46,000 cases of the coronavirus in the U.S., and a third of the country is in some form of lockdown. How are you? How are you doing? And what are you doing to get through your lockdown?
Well, what I'm doing is they've set up a little bit of a studio here in my home. I'm able to speak to you and doing a lot of remote stuff for with the media, number one. But I have a full day I'm working on. For example, I start the morning off with an hour-and-a-half briefing with my medical experts and on the health circumstances. They send me all these graphs and lay out exactly what the status of things are. And then I have an hour-and-a-half meeting with my economic team, former members of administration and others who are laying out what they think is about to happen and how we should be dealing with it. I spend time on the phone with the congressional leaders, and then I'm doing a fair number of, there's no show like yours, but doing some shows.
Okay, so now let me put it to you. Every day we're being told different things from different people, and understandably, people are uneasy. What is the number one thing you're most concerned about, and what do you want to tell the American people?
Number one thing I'm most concerned about, Whoopi, is misinformation. Listen to the scientists. Listen to the doctors. Listen to what they have to say. And I would respectfully suggest that you should have Dr. Fauci on a lot more than the president or anyone who's not an expert like Fauci, laying out exactly what's going on. And there are a number of things that are happening here and around the world. We can beat this. We can get through this. The American people are absolutely remarkable. It's amazing. For example, Jill is now upstairs on the telephone with a woman who is on the board of our National Cancer Institute, the Biden Cancer Initiative, because they're working on a program to deal with seniors, they're not all seniors, deal with folks who are suffering from cancer, can't get their chemo, can't get out of the house, or worried or frightened. And they're setting up a system whereby Jill's making phone calls, others are making phone calls to them, sending poetry, sending emails, just to buck up their spirits, because not everybody has family available. And so there's a lot of things going on. I'll give you one other example. A fellow who used to work with me, a great guy down in South Carolina. He has 3 beautiful daughters, one little girl in kindergarten. Their teachers from their school district are riding through neighborhoods. It takes them 3 hours. They call all the kids and say, I'm going to be coming by your driveway, stand out in the driveway. And she sent us a video of it saying, hi, I miss you. How's everything going? I'm going to come see you tomorrow. Well, I mean, there are people reaching out in ways to give assurance and to have some semblance of normality because people are frightened.
Vice President Biden, this is Sarah Haynes. In Hot Topics, we talked about Trump saying the government would reassess the recommended period for keeping businesses shut and people at home. Are you at all concerned, as Trump said, that we cannot let the cure be worse than the problem itself?
We have to take care of the cure. That will make the problem worse no matter what. No matter what. We know what has to be done. We know you have to, you're tired of hearing the phrase, you got to flatten that curve where it's going up like this, people get it, and then comes down. We got to flatten that curve. And we got to make sure that once, in fact, we have this under control, it doesn't come back. So what we should be focusing on is getting all the help necessary in terms of testing, in terms of access to the gear that our first responders, our doctors, our nurses need in treating people. We should be getting extra beds, hospital beds in the major cities around the country. In the rural areas, I have a map here. I don't want to show you. You can't see it. A map here from the docs that sent to me. There's a number of areas in the middle of the country and up north where, in fact, there are no ICU units. We have to get help there. We should be focusing on surging data, surging equipment, surging testing, surging all this information and all this capability around the country. That's the first and foremost thing we should be doing instead of waiting around.
Vice President
Urgency.
Vice President Biden, this is Sunny. You said that Trump has neglected, minimized, and lied about the virus. I completely agree with that. And now you are doing daily briefings on the virus from your home in Delaware. I thank you for that. Is this to counter the misinformation that Trump is putting out that you've referenced before?
Well, look, what I referenced before was back, I think it was March 6th, whatever the date was, he said a few things that just weren't accurate. And I think it's important people get the facts. The American people can handle the truth. But what they can't handle is something that's not true, that they believe at a moment, and then they find out it's not true. They lose confidence. The president has to be instilling confidence in American people that we know how to deal with this virus. And we know how to deal with this crisis as well as the economic side of it. Look, all the way back in January, the intelligence community was saying that it's coming. We're going to have a real problem with this virus. And on January 27th, I wrote a piece for U.S. News and World Report saying we must be prepared. And it wasn't taken seriously. We're being a day late and a dollar short. But now we're catching up, and I think it's important we continue the road we're on, and the president not make not make assertions not based on hard science. And I don't agree with the notion that somehow it's okay to let people die, and I'm not sure that would happen. I heard earlier comments in your show, and because to make sure the economy's there for our kids. The whole world is suffering from this. We have the strongest, most vital, most vibrant economy in the world. We can bounce back, but we need workers to bounce back. We need small businesses to bounce back. We need people being able to take care of their immediate needs. People are scared to death. I'm getting personal calls from people who just know of me and have my number from the old days and are calling and saying, look, I'm not going to be able to pay my mortgage. I'm not going to be able to pay my rent. We should be doing the things. Looks like the Senate is now getting together. I've been in constant contact with the folks in the Senate. I think they're getting closer to a deal that makes sense. But the focus has to be on those people who are in extremis now financially, who need to move now financially. We have to ensure that they continue to stay on a payroll. We have to ensure that they get these first round of checks to deal with the crisis they're facing. People who don't have large bankrolls, people who don't have savings accounts, people who don't have much to fall back on, they need the help now.